Welcome back to the Prospect Profile, a mini-series we do here within the Atlanta Braves franchise. We go over top prospects from AA Mississippi up to AAA Gwinnett. Last time we were here in AA Mississippi, we were going over first base / corner outfield prospect James Cornelius, and now we're going to be staying in Mississippi for catching prospect Pedro Mora. Pedro Mora is a 71 overall B potential. He is a right-handed bat, right-handed throw, obviously. He is 19 years old out of Puerto Rico. He stands 6'1", 211 pounds. And the thing about Pedro Mora is that he is an elite defensive catcher. He's got great fielding stats. He has an 81 fielding. He's got a rocket of an arm, and it's accurate. 71 arm strength, 76 arm accuracy. He's got 77 reaction, and he's got 78 blocking. So balls do not get past him. He makes good plays. He's got just great defensive skills. The thing about Pedro Mora is that despite him being a future Gold Glove catcher, he can't hit. He's okay versus left-handed pitching, but he's just god-awful versus right-handed pitching. Against lefties, he has a 49 contact and 52 power. They've each gone up quite a bit this season. And then against righties, he has a 29 contact and 41 power. So not good stats against righties, and it definitely shows in his stats, or his attributes against righties and righties. It shows in his statistics this season so far, as he's hitting 364 against lefties and then 195 against righties in AA. So a pretty big split there between the two. And then also, his vision and discipline are very poor. He has a 32 vision and a 32 discipline. Definitely not what you want to see. We've seen what Teoscar Hernandez has been able to do with his very low vision, and it's definitely not encouraging because Hernandez has decent discipline, but awful vision. This guy has awful vision and discipline, so he's probably not ever going to be a bat at the major league level, because even though he does have B potential, unless he goes on like some tear where he hits like 500 for like 2 straight seasons, he's not going to jump up to like a 70 or a 60 contact, or a 70 and 60 contact with why do I keep saying contact? A 70 or 60 vision, and then just be kind of like a guy who can hit against lefties and not against righties. But I really doubt that happens. So pretty much his future is he is an elite defensive catcher who can't hit really at all, and has an okay, I guess, bat against lefties, but he's not going to be able to make contact because his vision's so incredibly low. And he's not going to walk at all either to make up for his lack of hits, so it's just, he's kind of like, he's basically a liability at the plate. And then there's also another thing holding him back from the major leagues, and it's not just that I prefer offensive catchers, it's also that we have a lot of catchers. We currently have John Ryan Murphy, who is our starting catcher, Gordon Miller. They're currently platooning against lefties and righties, because Murphy just can't hit against lefties this season, so he's playing against righties, Miller against lefties. And that's what I'm rolling with right now, but I mean, I don't mind starting Murphy every day, I don't mind starting Miller every day. Those are both guys who I would not mind at all being our starting catchers from this point out for multiple seasons from this point, and we have them under team control for quite a long time, as Miller is a rookie. Murphy this is like his, I think this is his first or second season where he's a full-time catcher. I believe that this is his second season where he's a full-time catcher. All before that, he was like a backup or a guy who was in between AAA and the majors constantly. So we have these guys under team control for quite a few more seasons. And then there's also Alex Jackson, who's probably our third catcher right now, who's in AAA. He's our everyday catcher in AAA. And if somebody gets hurt, he's going to get called up. I would rather have an offensive catcher who's okay behind the plate than a guy who is an elite wizard behind the plate, but just can't hit a lick at all. I would rather have the offensive guy. That's just how I like to build my teams. If you can't hit, I don't like you. That's just how it goes when I'm building my teams. I'm sure there's people out there who prefer people who can catch, or people who are great in the field over people who can hit, but that's not what I like to do. I like to be able to hit home runs, hit doubles, drive in runs, get hit for a high average, and not have a catcher just in the lineup because he can field hitting 180 every season. I'm not looking for a Martin Maldonado or Austin Hedges, even though Austin Hedges still have some decent power numbers in real life. But aside from that, you know what I mean. I don't want a Martin Maldonado in my lineup every season. I don't want an AJ Ellis And then it's not really like we can trade Pedro Mora either, because I don't think his trade value is that high because of his poor bat. And I mean, how much of trade value does really a guy have who's just a good defensive catcher? Those guys are a dime a dozen around the league. You can't just be a defensive catcher and have a high trade value. At least I don't think. Why would you trade for a guy like Pedro Mora and give up like a good MLB player for him, or a couple other prospects, or whatever you're going to give up for him, when you can just go and in the offseason sign a guy like Martin Maldonado, like I keep using as an example, for like 800,000 or like $1 million, if that. I mean, you can just do that, and he probably has a better bat than Pedro Mora. So with that being said, it's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Prospect Profile within the Atlanta Braves franchise. I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I'm saying goodbye.
I throw a toast up for that green grass. I don't mean hash, but I mean cash. Talking about the other side where they breeze past. That German import with the easy pass. No tolls, fuck change, throw it away. All gold, silver's just second place. You living your life at a record pace. Always trying to eat dinner off a bigger plate.